Hello and welcome to another episode of Celebrating Southbridge. I'm Ron San Angelo, the Southbridge Town Manager, and I have a special guest today on what is a really important topic for the town of Southbridge. That topic is recycling and how we can improve our performance with regard to getting rid of our waste stream in such a way that saves the town money and frankly is good for the environment. Anna Smith is our interim recycling coordinator, and she's in charge of educating the citizens of our town about recycling. She's done a great job so far, and we want to help you today by telling you a little bit about what we're doing and what you can do to improve the situation as well. So Anna, why don't we start off, tell me a little bit about why we're doing this program and your involvement in the program.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me today. So, as you know, we're trying to improve recycling by eliminating some of the contaminants that we're finding in the recycling toters. Back in November, a couple of the town's recycling loads were rejected because there were too many contaminants in it. We're looking ahead. We're looking to the future, and in 5 years, our contract with Casella will be up. So we don't want to run into the risk of having additional expenses of having to dispose of recyclables, particularly after the residents have put so much effort into recycling. So as we started a campaign in January to reduce the amount of contamination. We did a number of educational pieces, a mailing to the residents. We did a couple of presentations to town council. We've done newspaper articles. We've vamped up our website. thinkreduce.com, by the way, is how to look up recycling information. So we've done a number of recycling educational pieces. The biggest of which, I think, and has had the most impact, is we've done curbside audits. And those, myself and our Director of Inspectional Services, we've been out on the curb since January. Our first day out there, I think, was minus 17 degrees. And we've been looking at recycling bins, tagging them, trying to use that as an opportunity to educate residents on, what should not be in the bin. And we've had a really good response, and people are allowing themselves to be re-educated.
So Anna, let's stop there for a minute, because I want to talk about specifically what goes in the bin, okay? And the reason I want to do that is because everything, when you buy something at a grocery store, it has a recycling mark on it, and that implies it is recyclable. But that's really not true. Not all things that have a recycle mark, in fact, can go in those bins. So I know you said the website, thinkreduce.com, is a critical site to be able to find out about this. But tell us specifically some of the kinds of items that you should put into the recycling bin, and specifically, like plastic bags, what should not go into the recycling bin.
Absolutely. So if you think in terms of containers, if we're looking at glass, metal containers, things that are household items like laundry detergent containers, butter containers, and you're absolutely right, the triangle with the number in the center doesn't necessarily guide us nowadays. So things that are plastic, metal, or glass that are containers can go into the recycling bin.
Of course, they have to be clean, so you can't throw in your laundry detergent with some laundry detergent.
Yes.
They need to be washed out, cleaned out, and then put into the recycling bin.
Absolutely.
Because if they're contaminated with anything else, they're no longer any good. It could actually hurt your whole load, right? So.
Well, it can. Some of the items, there's a greater tolerance for that than others. Paper and cardboard, there is very little tolerance for food or grease on it. Some of the other items that will be melted down, like metal, glass, and plastic, there is a little bit of tolerance for that. The things that we're really encouraging people not to put in the bins, plastic bags, first of all. And
let's explain that. It's really an important issue because whenever somebody goes shopping, they give you the plastic bags, right? And you think plastic recyclable, right? The reason that plastic doesn't work is because when it goes to a recycling center and they start sorting this, they have all kinds of machines that sort the different materials. those plastic bags actually get caught up in the machinery and stop the recycling machinery from being able to sort stuff. And it really causes major problems in the sorting process. That's why the plastic bags can't go in there, because they entangle in the machinery. So while I know you want us to do it, please, whenever you can, you should ask the store for paper. That's number one. But two, if you do get plastic, that should be disposed of in your normal trash, not in the recycling bin. That's really one of the most important issues, because it's one of the biggest problems we have, correct?
It is, and I would add to that that not only does it tangle up the equipment, but it becomes a safety hazard for the worker that has to then go in and cut that out. Most grocery stores are taking them back. So that gives them, in that setting, it's sort of like a clean stream, and they're perfectly recyclable in that way. You can use them for other things, like your kitty litter or a trash bag in your bathroom or something like that. But other than that, it should go into your bin. Into your trash bin.
Anna, some people think that recycling somehow makes money. So let me kind of be clear about this, because it's confusing. Recycling doesn't make the town any money. It's just cheaper to dispose of than regular trash. So let's assume, just for number's sake, that it costs you $55 a ton to bring regular trash to a landfill. It might only cost $20 a ton to get rid of the recyclables for recycling purposes. Recycling doesn't make money. It actually just kind of helps to reduce the cost of disposing of material. There are a few things that have real value. Corrugated cardboard, that's that cardboard with the lines in it, that tends to be a little bit more value. Metal can be a little bit valuable depending upon the timing of it. So there are certain items that have some value, but for the most part, it's really just trying to lower cost than it is getting value, right?
It pretty much is. And if you think of recycling as a market in itself, the markets have become much more stringent, which is, the reason why, one of the reasons why we're doing this.
The China issue, let's call it the China issue. So China used to take a lot of our recyclables, and because they needed raw materials, they allowed for a lot of tolerance in bad loads and things that weren't recyclable. Today, because China doesn't need as much, they are reducing the amount of recyclables they take, and they're demanding that the quality of the product they get, in other words, free of any contaminants, is much, much higher. So if they get loads that are contaminated, they won't take them anymore. And it's really having a major impact across the state, in fact, across our country, in trying to get rid of recyclable materials, right?
That's absolutely correct. It is. It's become much more difficult, which is one of the reasons why we're doing this campaign. Yeah. So we have been out on the curb, and we've made pretty good progress. When we first started it, every single bin just about would have something in it that we would consider a contaminant. Now we have about 25% of those bins that now are almost perfect. So as a result, we came up with a gold star award for those folks, and people seem to like that. They feel it actually makes a little bit of competition out there. Your neighbor's getting gold stars, you want to get a gold star. So that's been a positive, that we're seeing a lot of changes in it.
We put a ticket or a notice on your recycling, but it's not because we're trying to punish you. It's because we're trying to get the loads to be as clean as possible so that the recycling centers accept them. Because if it's not clean, they won't accept them. And we really don't want recyclables to be put in normal trash. So we're trying to avoid that because obviously, as you know, the more we can recycle, the better it is for our environment. So a big part of this is to educate citizens as to how to, one, help us reduce costs, but two, how to protect our environment over the long term by recycling as many products as possible, right?
Absolutely.
So I think that's good. So the STAR system is a way just to kind of say, hey, thank you to the citizens. We really appreciate your efforts at trying to do this right and helping us be successful in this program, right?
We absolutely do. We understand that it takes effort to recycle. It's much easier to throw everything into one bag. People have to wash them out, sometimes bundle cardboard. There's some effort involved. And, their hearts are in the right place. They want to do something to help the environment, to help the earth. And so we did want to recognize the effort that people are putting into it.
So recyclables these days are used in so many new products, right? So if we recycle it gets used in new products and reused over and over again. If it ends up in the landfill, it's just big mounds that you see. It's not helping the environment. It's not being, recreated into something new. So recycling is becoming very important, especially in the United States where we're kind of a throwaway economy. I mean, we really have gotten to the point where it's just easy to throw it away. That's what I mean. It takes some work to do recycling,
It
right?
really does.
Yeah. Tell me what in your mind is the overall goal of this. I know you've worked hard with our inspectional services director, Andy Pelletier, in doing this. You know, you're trying, I think, to get everybody on board. So tell us your overall
Yes.
goal is to what? Reduce it by how much, or what are you trying to do?
We're attempting to reduce contamination so that there's only about 15% overall contamination. And we're coming from like 35 to 45%. So that is our goal.
You know, keep in mind, right now we get, our trash is disposed of for free through the Casella contract for another 5 years. What we're really doing is kind of helping to educate the public and getting them prepared so that at some point in time when the Casella contract is no longer available and we as citizens have to start picking up the cost of that, anything we can do to lower cost benefits you directly, the citizens. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to develop a plan to make it as easy as possible to have people educated to recycle in order to save you money over the long term and again protect the environment. I know we have some counselors working on long-term plans for what we do with our trash and how we deal with that and how we deal with recycling. So already counselors think it's important to develop a plan for when this 5-year contract ends.
Absolutely.
So things are moving, and thanks to your work and Andy's work, we feel good about the recycling part of this. So I guess another part of the program, so you're trying to lower the amount of contamination, you're trying to increase recyclables. What else can individuals do to reduce their trash, and how can they help you succeed in your goals?
Thank you. Thanks for asking that question. Well, there are, some outlets for materials that, that can go in different places. Like we do see textiles and clothing in the recycling bins. Those can go to a drop-off site, to one of the collection boxes. And those materials are used. They're definitely used. They're not being thrown away. Even clothing with stains on it, as long as it's dry, can be put in a collection box. So that is something that is so beneficial to not only the environment, but to other people that are less fortunate, say.
Goodwill, for instance. Goodwill.
Goodwill.
I've been in those stores where the different thrifts or Salvation Army, where you can go in, you could shop for low-cost things that help the poor. People who
Absolutely.
can afford it can buy a piece of clothing, even if it has a small stain or something, a tiny tear.
Exactly.
They can get a decent pair of clothes to wear for very low prices, and it benefits everybody. It gets reused, and somebody who can't afford, brand new expensive clothing can find, frankly, you'd be amazed at some of the quality of clothing that people throw away. It's too small, too big, right? That shouldn't go in the recycling bin. You should give it to the thrift store directly, right?
Absolutely. Give it to the thrift shop, and even, on the other hand, go to a thrift shop and buy some of the, items there because, it's kind of like closing the loop. Another thing that people can do that's we often forget in regards to closing the loop, not only is it important to recycle, but it's important to buy recycled products made from recyclable materials. Some of your paper goods, like toilet paper, paper towels, some of those are made from recycled paper, and it's made from clean recycled paper. Other items, recycled actual paper, like computer paper, some plastic products. You might even look for carpeting that's made from recycled fibers. So that is a way to close the loop.
I think I actually see glass in the roads. It's kind of interesting. They have a glass, part of the glass can be actually put into pavement and stuff, and it actually is part of reclaiming roads or redoing roads, right?
That's right. That's right. Because if people don't purchase products made from recycled materials, then where do our recyclables go?
Go backwards.
They become unmarketable.
So I want to talk a little bit about money for this program, right? And all the time I say we've hired some temporary staff in the health department, the inspectional services department, to do some of this, educating the public and all that stuff. And this is through grant funds. I want to be clear that when the grant fund runs out, so does the employee. It's a temporary kind of a position. It doesn't get picked up by taxpayers in town here. So we're not looking at creating permanent employees by some grant that comes in. That's not what we're doing here. But we want to use that grant money to kind of help educate the public and help your team build that. So tell us about the grant you received and what that's paying for.
Absolutely. The town just received a $30,000 grant from DEP, Department of Environmental Protection, and it's called the Recycling IQ kit grant. It's a little bit of a mouthful. But what it does is it provides a kit and the instructions to have a successful program. That's basically the intention of it. And with that $30,000, as you said, we're hiring 4 temporary positions, which we have hired 1. And so we're looking to fill 2 or 3 other positions if anybody's interested. If you don't,
Part-time, few hours, how many hours a
right,
week?
so it's 12 to 15 hours a week, every other week, for a period of 16 weeks.
And the
So-
reason we do that, Drew, is because we don't want to pay benefits too. We can't, we only have a limited amount of money. We can't afford to pay benefits for these employees. So if you keep it under 19 hours a week, it keeps us from having to pay that extra cost for benefits. These jobs are really meant for a high school kid or somebody just looking to receive a little extra cash spending money
Yes.
on a temporary basis, especially kids that are out of school and stuff. It's a great job for somebody out of school to kind of help.
Absolutely. Or a retiree who's active, it would be a great job for someone such as that as well.
So,
So,
want to tell us about the billboard? Because I know you guys are
Yes.
working on a billboard. Why is it
Yes.
important to have a message on a billboard, and what kind of message are you talking about?
as part of our education funds through this $30,000 grant, we have put a message up on a billboard. It just went up yesterday. It's on Central Street as you head out of town, so if you want to check it out. And it does a couple of things. It provides a consistent message with some of the other literature that we're putting out. It targets our number 1 contaminant, which is plastic bags, so that it educates people about that very important issue.
So I'm going to be closing up the show in a minute here, but I want to just kind of review some of the important things. First of all, the website, thinkreduce.com. It's critical if you have recycling questions to go on that website. Make sure you understand clearly what can go in the bins and what can't go in the bins. Again, we've said it a bunch of times. We want to say it again. The plastic bags you get in grocery stores they destroy the whole system. So please do not put them, if you're packing up cans and glass and everything, don't pack them in one of those plastic bags. Just put them directly into the bin. Again, things that can be recycled are things like, plastic containers. You wash them out, make sure they're clean, put them in there. One of the questions I always hear about is pizza boxes. Yes, the pizza box is fine, but the round circle that has the pizza on it, that's not fine. So the box can't be stained or have any materials on it. The box needs to be cleaned. Glass bottles are fine to put in the recycling. Little pieces of metal or things like that can actually, I think, be put in the recycling bin as well. Or can you do recycling in this part? Or
Not
metal?
scrap metal.
Not scrap metal.
Cans.
So the can part
Yeah.
of metal, but not scrap metal.
Not scrap metal. Right.
Any kind of cardboard, corrugated cardboard, that one with all the lines in it is actually the best. So that can all be put in your recycling bin. If you have questions too, don't be afraid to call the Department of Ed Special Services or the Health Department here in Southbridge. People like Anna are there to answer the phone and try to give you directions possible. Again, the grant money is being used to educate people, to do things like flyers, to do the billboard, but also be used to get us some part-time people to help Anna educate citizens in town about that, right?
Correct.
So a lot of things going on. Anna, you want to say anything directly to the citizens, kind of as a closing message?
Absolutely. I do want to say wholeheartedly that I appreciate the efforts that people are putting in. I appreciate when people come up to us on the curb when we're out there to ask questions. It shows that you're interested and you're willing to be re-educated. So I think the success of the program is really the citizens, and I really appreciate their efforts.
So again, I want to thank you for watching Celebrating Southbridge. This show is on public access TV to help educate you about town issues. We want to be transparent about our local government. It's very important to our town councilors that you understand what's going on in government, how your money is being spent, the kind of services that we're offering to town citizens, and that we do our best to educate everyone about what's happening here in Southbridge. Thank you for watching this show, and thank you for being part of our community and being involved in Southbridge. Anna, thank you very much for the show.
Thank you.
You're a celebrity.